What's going on? Coach Luka here from Ground Fitness and Performance. And we're back, and a matter of fact, we actually did this video before sometime months in the past, and it disappeared, which just means I get an extra workout and get to break this down to you again. So today's video is about complexes and combos, and actually more so complexes, but the reason I'm bringing this up is because complexes are some of the most effective, I would say, conditioning exercises, and also like bang for the buck, I would say fat loss methods. Let's say call it methods more than anything else. Like I said, it can be used in a ton of different things, but more than anything is the amount of work that you can get done, and like I said, full body work, the amount of muscles that work, the amount of oxygen that you have to use up doing complexes is pretty nuts. To this day, this is probably, not probably, it's the most, I would say, intimidating conditioning there is, in a sense, but it's the fastest and most effective. So anytime I still do like barbell complexes, no matter how conditioned I am, I have a little bit of a butterflies in my stomach because I know what's going to happen. And I wanted to put this quote out there, right, because this is what it makes me think about. This is actually from Dose's Cardio Strength Training, but if there is no personal confrontation, there's no progress. And I'm telling you, there's some personal confrontation when you do complexes. But what I'm also going to do is I'm actually going to go and give you examples, how to use them, I would say some of the principles behind it, some of the I would say the science behind certain things, and just how you can progress it no matter where you're starting. So right now, if you've never done it before, I'll give you some examples, and also if you already are seasoned fitness, I would say seasoned into fitness, you'll definitely get a lot out of this because there is no one too good to be able to dominate this. I'd actually say the more conditioned you are, the harder this stuff gets because you can really progress it. So different tools that we can use. I'm actually going to go and use some of these tools because they're my favorites. But different tools that we can use for complexes is pretty much anything, right? Barbells, dumbbells, kettlebells, sandbags, clubs and maces, which I've started playing with a lot. Body weight. So this is the coolest thing is because you can actually do this with nothing, and that's what's so awesome about it. TRX or suspended trainers, cables, medicine balls, you name it. Obviously, different tools are going to elicit a different response because once we start going heavier, right, we're going to use different tools and exercises than if we do something like body weight or med balls where we can create a lot more power and things like that. So before I even go into the variables of it, I'm just going to touch on, like literally the kind of like the framework for what combos and complexes are. First of all, combination means that you do, so just to differentiate it, right? And I will show it in a second. A combination is when you do the one rep of an exercise and flow through it. So for instance, if I was going to do a RDL with a dumbbell, come back up, do a row, come back up, do a curl, do a press, do a squat, do a reverse lunge, right? One rep of each, I went through a combination, right? In a complex, the difference would be that I would be doing RDLs for instance, 8 reps. Once I get done with the 8 reps, I'm doing 8 rows, then I'm doing 8 curls, then I'm doing 8 presses, then I'm doing 8 squats, right? So the combo, you flow through the sequence 1 rep at a time. In a complex, you do all your reps before you go on to the next exercise. You never put the weight down, right? Today we're going to focus more on complexes. I will show a combo once I pick the weights up so you get a good idea of it, right? So any combo complex, 2 or more exercises, right? As soon as it's 2 or more exercises, it's a complex, right? Exercises that should have smooth transition. You'll see what I'm talking about, right? When they smoothly transition, it flows well, but also, I don't want to say it becomes harder, but it's easier for you to not lose the momentum and the metabolic effect because the load is consistent. Reps will be, you shouldn't put the load down, right? So you should never put the weight down. That's the whole point. You don't put it down until the end of the set till you get all your reps done. Reps are determined by weight, also as well as the exercise and which exercise is the weakest. So we'll talk about that. But mostly what we're going to talk about today is the 6 to 10 rep range, or 8 to 10 even better, because that's, like I said, more, I would say, fat loss based and or conditioning based. You know, you can do complexes that are heavier in nature from 3 to 5 reps with bigger loads, but we'll stay away from that for today, right? Also the weakest exercise. So you can only use, so remember, if we're doing a Romanian deadlift and a bent over row and a clean and a press and a front squat, the weakest movement there is definitely going to be the press, right? So you have to use, the load has to be something that the weakest movement will be able to handle still for that rep range. So if you're doing 8 reps, you have to be able to do 8 presses with that weight, right? Otherwise, it kind of kills it, because once you start doing more sets, it becomes a lot more difficult. Or should I say, you won't even be able to get it, right? Now with, you know, as you kind of see this, this breakdown, like I said, I'm going to take you through it so you'll know exactly what we're doing. The variables that you can change: intensity. So intensity just means the amount of load we're using, heavier, lighter, right? Volume. Volume just means like how many reps and sets we do, right? So if that goes up or down, obviously that's going to progress and regress it. Exercises. There's a huge difference between, right, if I'm doing a curl or if I'm doing a front squat or a clean. The front squat and clean are much, much harder, full body. They exert more, like the range of motion is bigger, right? So those are actually more like tougher exercises. So depending on the exercise you choose, it's going to be more difficult. Like there are complexes where, you know, we'll do overhead snatch into overhead squat, which obviously very, very challenging. And some people shouldn't do them. What I mean by that is, you know, what we also have to take into account into the complexes and combos is that if somebody can't press overhead because of shoulder pain, we're not going to put a lot of overhead work, any overhead work in that. And so we have to take that into account. So if there's any type of injury or nagging, or to say kind of issue structurally, like we got to take that into account and make a complex or use a tool that's different, that's going to be better for that person. We can also do like rest periods. This is huge, right? Rest periods, and you'll see in a program that I have in the back, I'm going to actually give you a full-blown progression of how you can do this. In the rest periods, this is like, I mean, obviously increasing load makes it more challenging. But if you take your rest period from 90 seconds down to like 75 or 60 seconds on a complex, it will make a world of difference, right? You'll be, because your recovery time goes down, where you might not have fully recovered yet. Oxygen, you're already still using a lot of oxygen, so that's going to kick your ass like superiorly. And what we can also do is timed sets. So instead of, like that's something we actually use here at Vigor 2 is where we'll use timed sets per exercise. So instead of saying like 8 repetitions, we'll actually say 20 seconds per exercise or 30 seconds per exercise, you know, and to be, for instance, 6 exercises at 30 seconds is 3 minutes, which is challenging as hell. But like I said, this all comes down and depends on, you know, what the program is, who it's for, and things like that. I'm going to cover a little bit about basically the 4 levels, right? The 4 levels that we can really look at when we're looking at complexes. If you're somebody that's wanting to start programming this, and on the back of this board in a little bit, I'm going to show you how you can put it into your current training program to get better results. But we have starter, beginner, intermediate, and advanced. Starter really just means you have not done this at all, okay? So if you're a starter, I would just start with like 2 exercises, maybe 3 exercises, and get it to where you get the timing down, okay? Just to get the timing down. So I'll give you a perfect example. You know, with the dumbbells, what's something that most people can do is if we have this front squat position with the dumbbells and we're just going and finishing all our reps, I'll just do 5 here, right? So for instance, we get our 5 reps done. Come up. Right, so that would be a complex. I got 5 front squats and 5 presses done. But for a starter, like I said, what's going to happen is you're going to kind of get the flow of it, right? Because you should push the tempo on this. The key is to do really good reps, so quality reps with pretty dang good speed. Now, obviously, the heavier I go, the harder it is, or the faster I go. the harder it is, right? So another thing that we could do is how fast can you get done with the set, right? No matter what repetitions you have, the faster you get done, the more your work, I would say, the density of your workout improves. But for a beginner, that would be, for instance, a pretty good start. So you kind of get the timing down, you kind of start getting it, okay? When we come to like beginner and intermediate and advanced, really mostly what we're doing is, so a beginner might do 3 exercises, right? Intermediate, we might go 4 to 5, whereas like advanced, we're looking at 6 exercises to 8 exercises, right? What I'm going to do is, I'm going to do a intermediate shortened set. I'm not going to do 10 reps per set, just to kind of go through it with the barbell, but I'm going to do an intermediate set just to show you how much work can be done in a short amount of time. Now, I just did those, and I was a little bit out of breath, so I'm going to take these to the side a little bit, give myself a little bit of space here with the barbell, because what I really want you to see is that if we have a barbell, which this is about 100 pounds on the barbell, and if I was doing 8 exercises, or, you know, let's call it 6 exercises. 6 exercises, 10 reps per exercise. It's 60 reps at 100 pounds. It's 6,000 pounds. So that's 3 tons of volume in about 2 minutes. Right? If I do 3 to 4 rounds like that, that's 6 to 8 tons of work or volume in 6 to 8 minutes of work. Okay? That's a lot. And like the energy expenditure is huge. And the EPOC just means exercise, post-oxygen consumption. Basically, all it just means how much oxygen your body has to uptake to recover. It's huge, which means you're going to basically elevate your metabolism for a really long period of time in that small amount of time. And wait till, like I said, I show you how easy it is to program this into your current program, because you don't have to change a lot of stuff. This is just things that you can add on to make it more effective, even if it's just once a week and it's something just a little bit from what you're doing. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to actually kind of get an angle so you guys can see me. The exercises I'm going to use is Romanian deadlift, bent over row. I'm going to go clean, right? Short, snappy, just kind of hand clean. From there, I'm going to go into a front squat position, reverse lunge, into a front squat, into a push press. So quite a bit. I'm going to only do about 5-6 reps per exercise so that you can get an idea of what a complex looks like, right? So if I need a minute to get back to you right now, don't get mad at me. All right. I may have done extra rep or not, but 6 exercises, 6 reps, 36 reps in one go. I would usually be doing this for 10, which would mean if I was doing 10 lunges per leg, it would be 70 repetitions, okay? So now if you think about it, 70 reps times 100 means just while we were watching me doing this presentation, I did 7,000 pounds, right? That's a huge amount of volume, right? So as I'm kind of slowly coming down here, you can kind of get an idea. The barbell is great to load a lot, right? It's easy to put bigger loads on there. You don't have any, I would say, as much rotational issues going on because it's bilateral. I don't need to resist rotation. Okay, so as you can see, a lot of work. Now, if I was doing a combo, right, think about this. If I was doing a combo, I would have just done one RDL, one row, one clean, one lunge on each side, one front squat, one push press, brought it back down. That would have been 1 rep. And then I would have done 10 reps or 8 reps. Okay? So that's the difference. But like I said, today we're focusing on complexes. Okay? Now, I'm going to go into a couple of other things and tools. The things that I brought here, you saw me do dumbbells. I love kettlebells for complexes. The cool thing about it is, right, is that we can do with kettlebells double complexes or single complexes. And the great thing about kettlebells is we can add in ballistic movements. So just like with dumbbells, you know, but obviously what we can do here is whether it's double swings into double cleans, right, into double front squats, push presses, like we would with dumbbells. The cool thing about it is now if we go single-sided, right, so single arm, now I can use this complex, and after I get done with one side, I go to the other side without putting it down. Once again, yes, the full load is not going to be as big, right? But the volume goes up. Time under tension goes up because I'm having to switch. So I'll give you an example. What I'm going to do is go into a swing, a clean, a press, a front squat, and a bent over row. Just a quick one, right? Just do 5 reps per exercise here. But you'll see, like after I'd get done, I would switch back over, okay? So if I'm doing swings, right? I would switch and go to the other side. So that way you see, yeah, I'm using a 52-pound belt here, but if I went through 10 reps on each one of those and then switch sides, one set would really have like 10 times 10, right? So 100 reps per set. With short breaks, now you can start seeing how you can cover not only a lot of the different movements, but all of these are, let's say, big buck exercises. Full body, right? Squats, lunges, presses, rows, swings. I mean, you name it, right? So if we're looking at how to create a complex, obviously there's always going to be a lot of questions because who am I creating it for? Is it someone, like I said, that has certain limitations? Is it someone that needs more work on something? Maybe, like I said, if they're an athlete or a fighter, we may focus on certain things more than others, right? So there is no like clear-cut description, but in general, even you saw me cover the movements. I did one movement that was a hinge, okay, right? Then we did a row, so we did a pulling movement. We did a clean, which is an explosive movement. A lot of times you can add that to the beginning, right? After that, we did a front squat. We did a reverse lunge, which is a single leg movement. We did a front squat, which is a knee dominant movement, and we did an overhead press, which is a push, right? So we had a pull, we had a push, we had a hinge, we had a squat, we had a single leg, and we also have an explosive. So apart from, like I said, there's a bunch of tools laying around here, and you guys saw me do some dumbbell stuff really fast, go through a short and complex with the barbell, single-sided with the kettlebells. I love unconventional training. So The thing is, like, in this case, it's clubhouse, but also a mace, where you can do things like that. And like I said, the load may not be as big, right? So this is a 25-pound mace from on it. But what ends up happening is that now we have a lot of different movements going on. We're going to basically also like add multiplanar things, and we have to resist rotation, so the core's working a lot. There's more movements in one. So I'll just give you a quick example of what something like that would be like, right? And the thing is, now we can mix it up too, right? So I'm just kind of taking you to see the different possibilities that there are with all these different things that we can do, whereas with something like the mace, now I can go into a squat and doing rotation, right? So there's skill work, but as the load is changing, I have to obviously stabilize. It's pretty challenging, right? I come back up. Now I'm going to go into a reverse lunge, roll into an uppercut, coming across, pulling back, right? We can stagger it here, go single leg. So it's an offset load. We can actually work the grip more, bring it up a little bit higher. It's a lot more challenging. Harder than it looks. We can come across here, add in some rotation, push through that foot. Okay, so this is 25 pounds. Becomes a lot harder than the 40s when we start adding all these movements in, right? So very, very metabolic. Like I said, we start using a ton of different muscles, and because of that, you can see I only did 5, 6 reps, 3 different exercises, and start breathing heavy. Okay, same thing with the sandbag. It's an awkward load. The sand moves, so even though if it weighs 60, 70, or 80 pounds, it feels like a lot more. Okay, so we could go on all day with different examples. What I want to go into and cover here as I flip it is like, okay, Luka, you showed me that. How do I use this? What do I do with it, right? So first, how do you progress it, okay? So I'm going to touch on a couple different things here. One, how would a program even look like, okay? Then, where do I put it into my current training routine? So I'm going to cover both of these in these 2 different charts. So number 1, okay, I'm going to give an example. Let's say we were using the barbell complex that I just used, okay? So the barbell complex was Romanian deadlift, bent over row, clean, front squat grip reverse lunges, front squat press. Week 1 and 2, now like I said, this is like somewhat a progression of somebody that hasn't really done much of this, okay? And depending on, I may do less exercises if it's a true beginner, okay? But this is like somewhat of, let's say if we were using that complex, that'd be more of an intermediate program. They'd start with 3 sets of 6, meaning, so weeks 1 and 2. Week 1 and 2, you do 3 different sets of 6 reps per exercise. So all those exercises we did, you do 6 repetitions on each one of those, break for 2 minutes, and do that for 3 rounds, okay? We'd progress it week 3 and 4. We'd add a rep, still do 2 minutes of rest. Weeks 5 and 6, now we'd add a rep and cut the rest break down to 90 seconds. Okay, week 7 to 8, you can see how we add another rep, 90 seconds again. Then we add another rep, we cut down the rest break again. So you can see, like on the other side, we said we can manipulate volume, which would be increasing reps and or sets. Intensity, which would mean increasing load. We can decrease the time of rest. Okay, all those are factors. All right, we could also make the exercises more challenging and add more. But this is a pretty, I would say, basic program that anybody can start using, right? Now, as you go, like, okay, Luka, do I just come in and do 3 rounds of that and that's it for me for the day? I'm going to go on into the second part that breaks that down. So here's an example of like Monday, Tuesday, right through Sunday are days. And I have 4 different examples of how you can use this. So if you do a 3-day lifting routine, because I'm really hoping that you're doing strength training, no matter what your goal is, I really hope you're doing strength training, right? Heavier weights and things like that, right? There's a couple of different models that I'm going to present that you can do this, right? CS is called cardio strength training. So complexes would fall under cardio strength training, okay? So if we're doing a lift on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, a great way would be doing cardio strength training on Tuesdays and Thursdays, later on maybe even on a Saturday, right? But in this scenario, it would be Tuesdays and Thursdays. Now, if you are doing a full day, like a conditioning day, you may not just do one complex, you may do two. Or you may do one complex and then a bunch of intervals. So most of the time, like with art at Vigor Ground, somebody wouldn't just do a complex. If it's their standalone session, a cardio strength training standalone session, they're going to do complexes, okay? And they may do one with barbells and then one with a sandbag or dumbbells or kettlebells. Or they may do a complex and then a bunch of different circuits, right? So it'll be a 30, 40 minute altogether with warm-ups training session that's all metabolic, right? If it was a standalone. Now, maybe you're only doing Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and you're doing your cardio strength training at the end of your regular lifting session, okay? In that case, you do your lifting session, and you finish off with the cardio strength. Some people will even start with it. Some people will start the session with it. Me personally, I prefer to do dynamic warm-ups, then go into the strength training, and then finish off with the complexes, right? So that would just mean like, hey, right now when you go and lift weights, you'd finish with complexes at the end and like ramp up the metabolism, okay? If you're doing a 4-day, so our 4-day splits are usually like lower body, upper body, lower body, upper body. It may look something like this: Monday, lower; Tuesday, upper; Wednesday, cardio strength training, which would be similar to this example here. Thursday, lower; Friday, upper; Saturday, cardio strength training. Now, if you were doing a 4-day split and doing cardio strength training on the same day, we might have lower and then finish with cardio strength. Now, here's what I tend to do. There's many ways to do this, but if I'm doing a lower body session, my complexes are going to be a little bit more upper body based. Not all upper body based, just a little bit more, okay? And when we do our upper body session, our cardio strength training is going to be a little bit more lower body based, okay? So same thing, we do a lift, we'd finish off with complexes, lift, finish off with complexes, off, off, off. And obviously the off days can be active recovery days with different types of conditioning. Because the question that will also rise up is like, is this all I need to do? Here's the kicker, right? It can be, right? There is no, like, this has a great carryover to a lot of things. It's amazing for, like I said, maintaining muscle, revving up the metabolism. Is great for fat loss. It's great for conditioning, right? It's great for, like, even adding some technical work. But at the same time, it's not the only thing. But what I will say is, like, if you haven't done this and you implement this just twice a week, right, and maybe just one round of complexes, like we talked about, that little program right here, you start doing 3 sets of it, it will make a really big difference in how you look, feel, and perform. That I can tell you, okay? So now you have some framework. Like I said, this is not the end-all, be-all of it, but you have some framework for a really, really powerful method and different tools that you can use. And here's the thing is, it is challenging, right? I'm not going to be the person that bullshits you here and tells you like that it's fun. It does become fun, especially because you can start using different tools and putting it together. It is very, very challenging. But I'll tell you what, so I'm not going like this into complexes, like that's not happening. I may be doing that because of my results afterwards, but that's not how you look like. But the results and the amount of time you put in to do that, see, the difference is most people would much rather go on a 30, 40 minute, treadmill escapade, doing, like very, very light intensity, reading a book or watching TV, where you get more results in a 10-minute session doing complexes, right? Now, if you tell them like, hey, listen, in 10 minutes, you can get way more results than you doing 30 to 40, kind of just not doing much, right? They'd still pick that because this is tougher. It's more challenging. And it also works this. So I love this for athletes as well because it literally makes you mentally push through it. And there's a huge benefit to that. There's a huge benefit to that. So take what I went over today. Let me know in the comment section if you have any questions. Like I said, if you'd like me to cover anything more or how we use this at Vigor Ground in different examples. And Coach Luka will be back with more information for you to get better results. Peace out.